Hey there, Taurus. Welcome to your reading. This is your May bonus reading, so happy birthday to all you May Tauruses out there. You have this Unlocking Solutions card. It says, through compromise, you will create the successful outcome you're hoping for. You have this Crow Spirit. It says, you'll soon receive news that will bring some blessed experiences into your life. You know, I feel for some of you right away with those two cards that if you are like have been trying to do something that like kind of seems like it's not working, that there could be a big solution obviously coming in for you. You know, especially if this is like work related. I feel kind of like more intuitively, you know, and especially if it's involving other people. We have the Five of Wands crossing, and normally, you know, the crossing energy can be what hurts you or helps you in a Celtic cross, but you know, it seems to me like you are like overcoming some sort of challenge involving other people. You know, the other random thing that's popping into my head here, Taurus, is that if you're doing something that involves like getting a group of people together, which can always be hard, right? Or almost impossible when you're dealing with like other people's, you know, schedules and things like that. You know, again, I kind of feel like there's something that maybe hasn't been working out with like other people's schedules that you could be working out. That might be very specific. You know, that might only be for, you know, one or two of you. You have the Page of Swords. You know, typical Taurus energy here because, you know, I feel the Page of Swords is about being curious about a solution. And yes, I understand that the Page of Swords is an air sign. That's not what I'm saying, that this is Taurus. What I'm saying is that the energy, I feel, is encouraging you to be flexible. And so I feel for a lot of you that if you get curious about, you know, kind of like solutions to problems or things like that, that this will be very good for you. I also feel that you need to get curious about like duplicating your money or something like that. I don't know. There's something about money popping into my head. We only have like one money card in this reading, the Nine of Pentacles, as your outcome, which is great, like very good card to have financially. But, you know, and I think I've said this to you before because you kept getting like the Queen of Pentacles with me, and I'm pretty sure I was talking about multiplication with you, Taurus, how the Queen of Pentacles is kind of like multiplying something. But, you know, I do feel something here about like how you make money. And there could be a way for you to kind of make more or charge more money, especially if you have clients or something like that. And I feel the Page of Swords is kind of like encouraging you to do your research, and you know, if you have clients or if you work with clients or something like that, because you probably could be getting more out of it. And you know, I don't know, it just popping into my head with the Page of Swords. You have the Five of Wands as your crossing energy. Page of Swords with the Five of Wands, I would be careful of like immature people, immature situations, of course. You know, people who act immature or childish. I would be careful of that energy, of course. With this energy, like I said, the crossing energy can be what hurts you or helps you. But the Five of Wands with the Page of Swords can be like an immature person who's trying to cause problems or trying to cause chaos. It's like, what's popping into my head here as well, Taurus, is it's like, I don't know if you've ever dealt with one of those people where it's like, it almost seems like they are not understanding things on purpose, if you catch my drift, right? Where it's like, you know, maybe you're explaining something very simple and they just don't get it. And you're like, this person cannot be this dumb, right? And so I would be careful. I don't know, I just get like a little bit of a manipulative energy here, especially if you're dealing with a person like that. You know, it's like I would be careful of that energy. It is popping into my head. The other thing I'm getting here is competition. I feel that everybody should be taking the lead right now. I mean, it's pretty obvious. We have a bunch of energy that will be moving into Aries. You know, Neptune's in Aries right now. As we move through the rest of the year, you know, Saturn will be moving into Aries. All the other planets, Mercury, Venus, you know, all the planets that are in Pisces basically eventually will move through there. And so, you know, I think that it's obvious that we have to take control of situations. But the Five of Wands says if you are in a situation that is out of control, take control and you will be fine. You have the Five of Swords. Five of Swords is showing up in the area of your thoughts or what's on your mind. The Five of Swords, like I kind of get like a feeling of giving up here, Taurus, but I don't think you should, is what I want to say. So if you are feeling like giving up on something, I feel this is like saying you just haven't figured it out yet. And this could be anything. You know, this could be anything that you're giving up on. The other thing that's popping into my head here for the Five of Swords is that you need like a system. If you're doing things just willy-nilly, you're going to have a really hard time. And I feel like if you have a system on how you do things, then things will be much, much easier. So this could be in work or business for sure. But I kind of just get that feeling for Taurus that you need like a system, or you need to come up with a system. I don't even really have any good examples, although I have a million systems in my life. But it's like my system for this channel, for example, is that I wake up and the first thing I do pretty much is these readings. It's actually kind of like the second thing I do, but I get this done right away, and I'm done with my day by before 9 o'clock, and most days before 8 o'clock. So it might sound silly, but it's like I used to just do my readings whenever the hell I wanted, like all over the place, and my life felt more out of control. It's like having the system made it a lot easier, and I'm like 10 times more productive because of it. So again, maybe you just need a simple system here. In your foundation, you have the Ace of Cups, which is amazing. All the readings for the past few years have been about Taurus becoming more heart-based. I think that it's really Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus is pushing Taurus to create more freedom. Obviously, for living a more heart-based existence or a heart-based life, we are going to feel more free because we are going to be doing things that we love. So I feel for a lot of you, you are just kind of like continuing on that journey with the Ace of Cups. I also feel like you need to ask yourself the question of does this feel good to me? Whatever it is, literally for everything that you're doing right now, Taurus. I feel sometimes, I think when we're in survival mode, I'm not saying that you're completely in survival mode here, but again, bear with me. I think sometimes when we're in survival mode and we need money, for example, we will pretty much just do anything, but we don't really enjoy it. But then I think also sometimes we get out of survival mode, but we continue to do the things that we did when we were in survival mode. So we are constantly in this state of heightened anxiety. And there's something about this reading that is popping into my head that's saying, you need to ask yourself the questions on the things that you're doing. Do I really want to be doing this? Does it really fill me up? Or, are there better things that I could be doing with my time? And again, I can't answer that question for you. You have to ask it to yourself. But I would be bringing more flow into your life with the Ace of Cups. Next, in the past position, which is the energy that you are moving past, you have this gibbous moon. It says you are very close to achieving your goal. You have this full moon in Capricorn. It says the end of a tough cycle approaches. So love it. Even though it's coming up in the past, this could say that you are getting very close. I kind of said this with that Page of Swords and the Five of Wands and the Five of Swords. It's saying to me, don't give up on something that you're working on or trying to complete or trying to do. The other thing that I'm getting here, Taurus, is that, there might be a way, if you're trying to accomplish something right now, and if it's not looking good, I would say there might be just a different way to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And, as I said earlier, I think flexibility is kind of the key for you, Taurus, learning how to be flexible. And that's what I would do with these cards. You have the Judgment card. I do feel like some of you are it's giving me second chance vibes, or simply doing something again. So if you're working, on a project, for example, that you did last year, and you're doing it again this year, that's what I mean. I don't know. I'm not really getting anything important off of this Judgment card yet. That might change in a minute when we clarify, but, it's kind of saying to me that you could just be doing something again. And, so if this is something that you're trying again financially, I feel that it could go very well for you this time, or better than the first time. For others, it's maybe you did a certain type of job a couple years ago, and it's you're revisiting it again. I feel that this time, with the Emperor showing up, the Emperor's, clearly encouraging you to really take control this time around and, do what you can to make things happen. The other thing about this card is that these people are standing in these coffins. The coffin represents their old life. Outside their coffin represents their new life. So they have to step into their new life completely and completely let go of their past life. So I would definitely, anything that needs to be released, I would really encourage you to kind of release those things. I'm getting things on this card. The other thing that's popping into my head with this card is kind of evolution. It's one of those things where I think you need to look at your career or whatever you do for money, and I feel you need to look at like where is it going in the future, even if you're guessing, right? You might not know where it's going, but you might have kind of like a little bit of a guess on the direction that something is going for you, and I would I would experiment with that. And here's like what I mean. It's like I'm a big believer that I think the gatekeepers are gone. Like if you're an author, for example, it's like you don't have to go to a publisher anymore. You can just self-publish on Amazon. And so, it's like I feel something like that for you in business or career or work, where it's like there could be like these old ways of doing things, and it's like there's a new way of doing things, and I would be learning that with the judgment card for sure. Next, in the very near future, you have this water card. It says emotions are at their peak. Yes. You have this unicorn. It says good fortune and friendship. Love it. So definitely could be good fortunes coming in for you. I mean, you've been getting these emotions in your reading for a long time, I'm pretty sure, Taurus. So I would just, stabilize your emotions. Be focused on positive emotions, of course. The unicorn, definitely says there could be good fortunes, and your outcome is the Nine of Pentacles, which is amazing. So, there definitely could be good fortunes. You have the Emperor. The Emperor could be a person, but I really don't feel that for you, Taurus. I feel that this is you taking control. And it's probably over something that you are doing again in your life. He has this Ankh right here, and the Ankh is a symbol of rebirth. So, it could represent him taking control of something from the past. And so I feel this is work related. Even if you're retired, people always say, like, I'm retired. What are you talking about work? I'm like, well, do you just sit around all day or do you do something? I don't know. And whatever, right? So whatever you do, even if you're retired, whatever you're working on, you are taking control or doing something again. And I feel that this could, sometimes I feel the Emperor can represent an opportunity that's being presented to you, but it's only an opportunity, right? If you don't take advantage of it, nothing's going to happen. But he has his armor on underneath his cloak here. And the armor on his cloak, under his cloak, says that he's ready to go at a moment's notice. So he's sitting here, he's not doing anything, he's not stressing out, but when an opportunity presents itself, he's going to take it. So I feel that it could be a good time for you to take advantage of any opportunities that come your way. Next, in your outcome row, you have this never-ending story and this loyal heart card. Yes, I think you need to be loyal to your own heart. I feel you need to get out of a never-ending story, which is probably the old thing that we're talking about. Again, it's like, the best example I can give you is if you're an author, letting go of getting published by a publisher and doing it yourself could be an amazing idea for you with these cards. But that's just one example. Again, obviously, all of you have a different situation, and I would look at your situation and say, like, how can I get the most out of this? And that's what I would be figuring out with this card. Again, if you do want love, there could be a little bit of love here. But again, as usual, Taurus, this is clearly all about you. Next, in the area of the next few months, you have the Death card. I feel pretty good about this Death card because, what's popping into my head with this Death card is that, like, the changes you need are happening. I don't think, it's not like saying to me that you are changing, although, we're always changing, of course. But, it's almost like there are certain external things that you have needed to change for you to be successful. And I never say that on the Death card, but I do feel the Death card is saying, like, the external changes that need to happen are happening over the next few months. And so it's almost like you are entering into a better environment. It's like you're entering into a better time for what you are doing. And yeah, it feels really good. I really don't have anything else to add to that because, again, I feel this is a good thing. Next, in your closest relationships, you have the Seven of Wands, which makes sense because, again, this reading is kind of like all about you. I do feel like you could be very self-focused this month. I really don't see any problem with that at all, Taurus. Like, again, it seems to me like you're probably just taking time for yourself to do something. Again, I don't really think it's a problem. I mean, if you're lonely, of course, I would open up to people. I would socialize and all that other stuff. The Seven of Wands is about, like, putting up boundaries as well. So, he is drawing a line in the sand. He's saying, I'm not willing to accept anything below this point into my life. And so a lot of you could be putting up boundaries with people, but I kind of also just feel you're protecting your energy. You're protecting your vibe. You're kind of like doing your own thing, right? Next, in the area of your future feelings, you have the Page of Wands, which again is amazing because the Page of Wands says that you are feeling more adventurous, you are feeling like you can be more successful, and I feel like you are feeling like you want to explore, which is good because I kind of feel like Taurus has been a little bit stuck in the past several years on doing things a certain way, and so having a card that would represent like exploring other ways of doing things in your life would obviously be very positive. So I feel a lot of you could be like looking for other ways of doing things or just doing things in a different way. Your outcome is the Nine of Pentacles, which again is amazing based off of everything that's showing up in this reading. Nine of Pentacles is being very independent, being able to take care of yourself, having more than enough for yourself. I do feel like you need to start giving to yourself more. She has 3 pentacles here and 6 over here. It says that she's willing to give 3 pentacles worth of energy to anything that enters into her life, but she always keeps enough for herself, right? So she's not overgiving. And I would make sure that you balance these energies out and that you're giving more than enough for yourself. Guess what? She also has this snail right here, and the snail represents your environment. Like I said with that death card, I feel like that death card is saying something about your environment. I feel like that death card is saying you are entering into an environment that's more conducive to success for Taurus. And that could be like some sort of external change that's going on. Or, it could also be like, the book example. It's like, before Amazon, before Kindle, there was no option to publish your own book. But then there was, right? Something external happened to make that happen. You know what's really funny, Taurus, is that I said at the beginning of Uranus and Taurus that I thought we would see more, kind of like the gig economy taking off, which we kind of have, basically. The gig economy is like Instacart, DoorDash, Uber, things like that. And I bet like once Uranus leaves Taurus, that we will probably see people doing more of that type of work, right? To like increase their abundance. And again, it's like things are happening in the world to make that possible. And I hope that makes sense. That's what I feel on the death card. It's like something is happening, like a change in the world or a change in your environment is happening that is making something possible that like wasn't possible before. So, there you go. Before YouTube, there's no freaking way I would have ever had 900,000 subscribers, right? I would have only been reading locally to like 10 people. So, again, it's like these changes happen all the time. And if we take advantage of them, Emperor, then we become successful. With the Page of Swords and the Five of Wands, you have the Knight of Swords. Yeah, like no jumping to conclusions here on the Knight of Swords. I would be careful of your emotions as well. It's like, no getting pissed off at people, no exploding at people. I'm not saying you would, Taurus, but, it's like sometimes you can be dealing with people who kind of like really push your buttons, right? And I feel like this is saying, number one, if you have that type of person in your life, avoid them at all cost. Number two, don't get too excited about things that are happening and I kind of just get that energy off of that card. With the Five of Swords, here you go. You have the Sun. The Sun would say that you are moving towards happiness. The Sun is about, the Sun makes the whole entire reading more positive. But with that Five of Swords there, it could say that you are thinking about walking away from something so that you can be more happy. But really what I feel like the Sun is saying is that there's an easier way to do something. Again, I get that feeling that some of you in work or business, could be looking at what you're doing, and it's like you're doing things the hard way. And maybe that's what you're learning with the Five of Swords. So I would look for the more efficient way to do things. The Sun is also optimism, and so even though we have the Five of Swords there, again, the Sun makes the whole reading more positive. So you could be feeling more optimistic and more hopeful this month, which is great. With the Ace of Cups, you have the Five of Wands. Again, yes, maybe you need to look at competition and maybe you need to come from a more heart-based place, right? It's like instead of being sad or upset about the competition, the Five of Wands can say we can learn from the competition. And that's always what I say is the solution to the Five of Wands is that, these people are using sticks, they're not using swords. So really, they are learning how to fight. And the Five of Wands is about learning from the competition. So I think it would be an amazing time for you to learn from any competition that you have and see what you're doing and they're doing, see what you're not doing, and then go from there. And that's what I would do with that card. With the Judgment card, you have the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is just direct, straightforward, diligent work. It is a card of mastering your craft. But with, like I said, I kind of feel some of you could be revisiting some work that you've done in the past, and you are just doing it in a different way. And I'll tell you what, Taurus, this looks amazing if you are doing that, because I feel it could totally be increasing your earnings. It's like, again, I really feel that you could take advantage of something that would be very, very successful for you. So I would be looking into that with that card. With the Emperor, you have the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords says something is dead, done, over with. I feel, just based off your astrology, I think this is what Taurus has to deal with, is that the old ways are dead. And, the old ways could be a little bit of a comfort zone. I also think Taurus's old story could be a little bit of a comfort zone as well, which we've definitely talked about before. But it's like, if you thought you were going to grow up and you were going to be, famous in Hollywood, for example, and maybe that's still your goal, is to become famous, then, but maybe you could also be realizing, maybe you're having a hard time doing it, is what I'm trying to say. But it's like, again, the gatekeepers are gone. You can be famous on your own now. The other thing is for a lot of people, if you look at Hollywood is a mess, right? There's a lot of weird stuff going on, people getting arrested, truths coming out about Hollywood. So, again, I'm just using this. Sorry, I'm losing my voice now. I'm just using this as an example. Again, if you look at, sometimes I think if we look at the things that we thought we wanted, we realize like what really goes into it. And, now you could be deciding to do something on your own. So I feel like that Ten of Swords is saying the dream isn't dead, just the way that you accomplish the dream is dead. It's a different way. With the Death card, you have the Ace of Cups. Yes, again, following your heart. Like I said, something is happening over the next few months that's going to make something possible. I would really be doing as much research as you possibly can, because, I feel that really that's how you find your solutions. That's how you overcome things that are in your way, is by doing research on whatever it is that you do. Yes, with the Seven of Wands, you have the Empress, so very attractive at this time, but also your card. And so this, like I said, I feel is saying that really this reading's all about you. I feel that a lot of you could be focused on yourself. We do have divine counterparts here, and we do have the Ace of Cups, which is love. I'm not so sure about this Ten of Swords, though. Some of you could be releasing a past divine counterpart or something like that, and you could be focusing on yourself. So I really don't think that this is like a new person coming in. The Empress with the Seven of Wands would be about self-care, even though it's coming up in the area of your closest relationships. It would say that you are taking better care of yourself, or you're more focused on yourself, and that could be a good thing. You could be creating more abundance as well. With the Page of Wands, you have the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is a card of conviction, and it says when you know that something is going to be successful, it will be successful. I kind of get the feeling here, Taurus, that like you're about to do something that once you make the decision to do it, that's it. There's no going back, Taurus, is kind of the feeling I get on that Seven of Wands. So if you are about to like work on something or create something or do something in your life, it's like once you cross that, that threshold or that line, there's no going back. So I don't know. Some of you really could be making a decision to make a big change in your life, and it's like, that's it. With the Nine of Pentacles, you have the Page of Wands again. So these repeating cards are basically the universe saying I meant what I said. So you're definitely about to like go on some sort of adventure or make a change in your life, and I feel like there's no going back, Taurus. So, but I feel like it's a good thing. So I like it. You have this Dark Woman card. It says dealings or relationships with a woman with dark complexion or hair. Yeah, and I always clarify these people cards. You have this horse. It says short journey on it. Some of you could be going and seeing a person who looks like that, or you could be visiting a person this month. Like I always say, it's like just because the reading says that you're going to be very independent this month doesn't mean that you're not going to socialize. So, again, some of you could be socializing with like a person or visiting a person. You have this bowl. It says plenty of material things. Yeah, it does look very good abundance-wise. 8 of Pentacles, Sun, 9 of Pentacles, Empress. It looks good, but again, I think that this is going to come through the change, whatever change is happening, or it's going to come through that environmental change that I was talking about with the Death card, where it's like there's like an opportunity that's popping up in the world for you. And I would take it. I wouldn't sleep on it, because that's where the abundance is going to come from. You have this good fortune card. Definitely could be good fortunes coming in for you at this time. It looks very fortunate, or it's like you're setting yourself up for future fortunes, which I like. You have this rose. It says romance is in the air. Definitely, if you want love, there could be love coming in. I'm still not so sure. Like, again, I don't claim to know everything, and I don't trust any reader that says they do know everything. I'm not so sure how I feel about that Ten of Swords. I'm not getting anything on that Ten of Swords with the Emperor and the Seven of Wands and the Empress. I mean, to me, that looks like two people who are closed off. Two people who need to open up to each other, right? It's like the Emperor could have been stabbed in the back in the past by a person, for example. If you are the Empress, it doesn't matter what gender you are the Empress, right? If you are the Empress, Seven of Wands is having your boundaries up to like too much to open up, so it looks like two closed off people. And so it's like someone would have to open up here, but, whatever. You have this ladder card. It says climbing towards success. Yes, I mean, I would say that's what this reading is you kind of making that climb towards success. But I think, number one, it's easier than you think, and it can be easier than you think. And I need you to believe this one right here, because I feel that you could be kind of like stuck on the old ways a little bit, is the feeling I get from the reading. But I really like this, Taurus. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.